Day and welcome to the UFC Live on Versus in Milwaukee call. Today's call is being recorded. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to Mr. Dave Schaller. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Abe, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the UFC Live on Versus conference call. Today we are joined by main eventers Dan Hardy and Chris Lytle, as well as co-main eventers Ben Henderson and Jim Miller. As you all know, UFC Live on Versus in Milwaukee takes place next Sunday, August 14th, from Bradley Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. At this time, we're going to open it up. Questions from members of the media.
All right, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to queue up to ask a question at this time, please press star, then 1 on your touchtone telephone keypad. Again, that is star 1 if you would like to ask a question on today's conference. And we will pause for a moment to assemble our roster. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, that is star 1 if you'd like to queue up to ask a question. Again, that is star 1. And we'll take our first question from Spencer Kite with Heavy.com.
My question's for Dan. I'm just curious how the move to Las Vegas has been. I know you've sort of relocated, and we're splitting time between home in England and L.A., and now it's shifted to Vegas. How has it been? Who have you been working with, and how much impact has it had on your preparation for this fight?
It's been really good, to be honest. It's been, I know it's a cliche, but it's the best training camp so far. I did the first 2 weeks here, and then went back to England for 4 weeks just to start with Team Roughhouse for all my sparring, and then came straight back out here for the last 4 weeks, and it's been great. I mean, I've been working every day with Roy Nelson. I brought my striking coach out with me, and we've been training. Roy's got a few guys that I work with that are, great wrestlers, great jiu-jitsu guys. And then we've been traveling around, training at a few different gyms for sparring. I've been working with, I've been sparring with Eve, I can't remember his name now. Evan Dunham, who else? Big Dutch dude. Gilbert Ivel, yeah, that's the name I was looking for. It's been good. I mean, there's a lot of talent in Vegas, and it gives me the opportunity to train with a lot of different guys and get a lot of different looks. And I just feel ready. I feel that this is, this is the turning point in my career. I've got to get things back on track, and I'm in the right place to do it.
Obviously, as you said, this is sort of a fight that's make or break for you, that you need to get things restarted again. On top of that, how much in this fight do you need to show that you're capable of adapting in a fight and winning against somebody that isn't maybe just going to stand and bang with you, and show that there are different dimensions to your game?
Well, that's a continuous process, and that's something that I've got to work on, for the rest of my career. But I've already taken those steps, and I feel like I've made a lot of improvements over the past 4 weeks, and I'm seeing improvements myself, and I'm hearing from other people that there've been a lot of improvements. So, I'm really comfortable wherever the fight goes. I mean, obviously, everyone knows what I like to do, and everyone knows what Chris likes to do as well. So I don't think there's any surprises there, but. Regardless of where the fight goes, I'm ready for it, and I want the opportunity to show people what I can do in other ranges as well as just striking.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you very much. Now moving on, we will go to Matt Manzello with, I do apologize, looks like we'll go to Stephen Morocco with MMAJunkie.com.
Hey, Dan. The change in training has obviously been a big move. Do you think it was just an issue of going someplace else and sort of rectifying some training problems? Was there anything else missing in sort of your approach to the fight game, or was it just sort of like a series of circumstances, this fight and this bad matchups and, stuff like that? Was anything else missing, or was it just a matter of moving?
Well, if I look at the fights, if I break each one of the 3 fights I've lost, down, every one of them was forgivable in a way. I mean, obviously GSP is the champ, he's one of the best in the world, and that was a fight where I just kind of went and gave it my best. It was a learning experience for me, and I did everything I could in the fight, and I learned a lot from it, and I took a lot away from it. The Condit fight was just my arrogance got the better of me. I just got caught there, that was my own fault. And then the Anthony Johnson one, he's a big, strong wrestler, and it was just one of those days that, I said it before. Sometimes you just don't win, and that was one of those. But it's frustrated me, and it's got me back in the gym, and it's made me make a few changes. But, coming out to Vegas, it's made life a lot easier. When I'm in the UK, I do a lot of traveling around to go to different gyms, train with different guys. Whereas over here, I have everything I need right at the same gym. It's just around the corner from my house. So I'm getting a lot more time to rest, a lot more time to refuel and rehydrate, and great talent around me as well that are going to keep me pushing forward. So, sometimes you just need to take yourself out of your comfort zone. And I think maybe I slipped into a bit of a groove with, LA and England and that kind of training camp system that I'd found. Maybe it just got a little bit too comfortable for me. So, coming out here and having big country yelling at me and sitting on top of me most of the day has really changed that.
And have you gotten your blue singlet out of the closet?
I have it with me, yeah, but I've not had a chance to use it yet. Quite disappointing, really. Maybe I'll wear it for the fight.
I think that's a great idea. Question for Chris. There's obviously been news about a possible run in the Senate. What would, if you went out there and you completely dominated Dan and got a big victory, would that change that goal or modify it at all? I guess we've spoken in the past about your goals as a fighter and where you're at right now in your career and how you just sort of want entertaining fights. If you went out there and really dominated, would it change this other goal of yours?
Well, first of all, I think that'd be a little off the expectations on my part. Dan's a really tough fighter. I know he's doing a lot of good things right now. Just to have something like that happen would be, that's kind of more than I'm expecting right now. I'm expecting a great fight, and I know that's what it's going to be. So, but let's say something like that did happen. I would have to say not really. It's kind of something that's important to me and something that I've been looking into for a long time, and I don't just jump into something on a whim. I've thought about this a lot, and, it's something that, I care about the area I live in, and I'd like to try and help out and make a difference if possible. So, I guess I'm just going to have to, take it, after the fight, I'm going to reevaluate and see what I want to do, and that's kind of how I feel about it right now.
It sounds a little bit low, though, like 2012 is something it's a real serious thought. Like you might do it whether you win or lose.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I wouldn't have started talking about this, announcing it, formed an exploratory committee, and looked into it if I wasn't serious about it. I have a lot going on. I'm still a full-time firefighter. I have 4 kids. I'm trying to train for this. I haven't done anything with that lately just because I've been trying to train for this fight every day. So. But just me talking about the fact that I've formed an exploratory committee and I'd like to look into the possibility of me running for a state senator, state legislator. I definitely take it serious, and it was thought out, and I'm serious about it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, that is star 1 if you would like to queue up to ask a question. Again, that is star 1. And next we'll go to Matt Manzilla with CageReligion.com.
Good afternoon, guys. Dan, this one's for you. Not to beat a dead horse, but I'm wondering how much pressure you're feeling leading up to the fight, with the 3 consecutive losses. And is this something, you're able to parlay into motivation, sort of like a do-or-die situation?
Well, it's unusual territory for me. I've never been in this situation before. I had 2 back-to-back losses a while back in my career, and that was a very difficult situation to be in. But at this level, it's just the way it goes sometimes. You get in there and you give everything you've got every time, and the outcome a lot of the time is out of your hands because it's such an unpredictable sport, and the level that we're fighting at is so high that anything can happen at any minute. It does put pressure on me because obviously, I love fighting for the UFC. I love being a part of this sport and a part of this world, and the fans are great. I have great support, so I don't want to let those fans down that want to see me fighting in the UFC. So. Yeah, there's definitely pressure, but I've just got to kind of go with the flow. I can't force it too much. I've got to do everything that I can in the gym to prepare myself for the fight and take it as it comes. If I think about it too much, then it's gonna get me down and it's gonna stop me performing at my best. And right now, I feel like I'm unstoppable, and that's exactly how I need to feel going into this fight. So that's the thought of the 3 losses is it's more of a motivational tool than anything else.
And just to follow up, do you feel the fight with Chris is kind of the ideal fight for you at this point in time? We saw with the Rumble fight, his wrestling was a factor, but your style and Chris's style kind of seem tailor-made for each other.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, I mean, this is the kind of fight that the fans want to see, and I'm not expecting to hear any boos at any point in the in the 15 minutes. It's frustrating for me because I do this sport because I love it. I love fighting. I love the competition. I love the risk taking and the gamble in throwing punches at somebody. And you know, 2 out of my last 3 fights have been, you know, they've been snooze fests. It's been disappointing, and I just don't like having boring fights. And I mean, the Carlos Condit fight was good fun for the first 4 minutes or so, and then I got clipped. But you know, I want to have fun fights, and you know, for me, Chris Lytle is the kind of guy that I can look up to it and think, you know, he's the kind of guy I want to fight like. I want to aspire to be like this guy. So having the opportunity to actually share an octagon with him is, you know, it's an honor. And I know he's going to bring it. I know he's going to test me, and I know that he's going to come and try and win the fight, and that's exactly what I want, instead of somebody who wants to, you know, get that paycheck and take it home.
Thanks a lot for your time, Dan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll go to Sergio Nan with USA Today.
Yeah, this question is for Jim and Ben. A lot of people are looking at your fight as a possible contenders fight, and I'm wondering if you, either of you have that in mind at all, starting with Jim.
You know, in my opinion, you got to look at every fight as the most important fight of your career. You know, I have 20 wins, but if I had lost one of those wins, I wouldn't be in the situation I am right now. So my main focus is just on the 14th and Ben, and you know, it's a tough fight, and that's where my eyes are locked. I'm just preparing for that fight and nothing else, you know.
And Ben?
I would have to agree with that. You know, I think every fight is a pretty big, mentally, you know, career building, stay on the right path fight. Lose any of your fights, and I got to start over. You know, whether you're number 19 out of 20 or whether you're number 2 out of 20, you lose a fight, you got to start over. You know, scratch. So I view all my fights as that way.
And one more question for Jim. I think like UFC is really giving you sort of a slow build and taking their time with you as far as building you up. You know, at what point do you start to wonder, you know, gee, you know, when do I get a title shot?
You know, I'm the type of person that I want the challenge. You know, I want the tough road. I want to fight all the best guys. And if I feel like I can be the UFC champ, then, you know, whoever they're going to stick in my way on the way up to that point, I should be able to beat. You know, so I'll just keep fighting. You know, if I can pull out a win on the 14th, then, you know, they don't, you know, they tell me I'm going to throw me in there against somebody else, then so be it. I like to stay active and keep fighting and have that motivation to improve and you know, really to just light a fire under my ass and be in the gym and trying to get better every day. So yeah, I you know, you can only put so many wins together before people start realizing it. So yeah, keep fighting and taking every fight like it's the big one.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. And moving on, we will go to Ariel Helwani with NBCSports.com.
Hey guys, first question is for Ben Henderson. Sorry to take you away from the tweeting, Ben. I wanted to ask you about whether or not this is a personal fight for you, because I don't know if you remember, and I think you do remember because we talked about it. In December, Jim had said that the WC lightweights were going to get weeded out pretty quickly, and so far, a lot of you guys, you, Donald Cerrone, you've been doing very well in the UFC, so I'm wondering if you took that personally and if this is a personal fight for you.
I don't necessarily take it personally, but I definitely remember the quote. I remember, you know, watching that interview where Jim said that. It's definitely in the back of my mind. You know, it's nothing personal. I understand, you know, it's his personal opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but Yeah, you could definitely say I remember that.
And Jim, are you surprised, considering the fact that you said that, at how well some of the WC guys are doing in the UFC?
No, they're a tough group of guys. What got me is that there was some talk that the 10 guys or whatever they were bringing over were just going to steamroll everybody in the UFC division and just walk their way through, which I didn't think was very respectful to the guys in the UFC. They've definitely, I think they've won just as many as they've lost. It's 50-50 right now. And the biggest win they've had is Ben's win over Mark. So yeah, they're a tough group of guys, but this is a tough division, and we'll see how the rest of it goes. We'll see how it goes on the 14th.
And Jim, just to be clear, after Guida's win over Anthony Pettis, Dana had said that you were still, in whatever ranking there is, above Guida. So has anyone told you that if you do beat Ben, you are next in line for a title shot? Have you been told that explicitly?
No, I haven't been told that exclusively. And this is a business, and you never know what's going to happen. If Guida had finished Anthony, he might have been getting the shot. Depending on how our fight goes, if I win, how the win goes, it all depends. If they bring what's his face, Melendez over from Strikeforce, so much can happen. It's such a fluid division, and there are quite a few guys that have built themselves up. So, I try not to just focus on any of that and just focus on the task at hand.
Okay, just one quick one for Chris. There was talk that a brand new state-of-the-art gym had opened in Indianapolis, which is where you're from, and I'm wondering if you're a part of that gym, and if so, how big that is, because I know in Indy, a lot of the guys training there were looking for a new home and a top-level MMA gym.
Yeah, no, if somebody's come up with a lot, there's some new state-of-the-art gym there. That's not true, man. If you're in the Indianapolis area, I think that there's always a new gym opening and followed by a new gym closing not too far after that. It seems like So, my group of people I'm with is kind of a group of nomads. We always find places to train. We'll go to a good boxing gym, a good wrestling place, just kind of find different places to train all the time. It'd be great if there was one specific location or whatnot, but people always ask me if I'd like to open a gym, and I try to explain to people I'm on the fire department full time. I have kids. I really do a lot of things. I'm trying to train full time. I don't have time or the desire to really open a gym. So we're always kind of hunting for a place, and but I've been doing that my whole career, so I'm used to that. It's not a big deal to me, and I feel like I get great training with a group of people I know who are good, and they work with me. And the training camp right now is all about me, and they're trying to give me exactly what I need. It's a lot of fun. I feel a good sense of loyalty to these people for helping me out at all times, and in turn I try and help them out when they have fights coming up. So it's a good camp, and I feel like I'm going to be ready as usual to go.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you very much. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, that is star one if you'd like to queue up to ask a question. Again, that is star one. And next we'll go to Camilo Ortiz with El Octagono.
Yes, hi, this is Camilo from El Octagono. I had three quick questions. Jim, would a victory over Ben Henderson guarantee you a title shot? And how frustrating is it that after 7 wins in a row, it seems that your shot at the title has been kind of overviewed?
Honestly, I don't know if it would guarantee you one. Ben is a tough fight, and a win over him would mean a lot. And have a lot of weight behind it. But like I said, you never know what's going to happen. And there's just been so much stuff going on at the top of the lightweight division with Frankie having to fight DJ again after beating him, and then the draw, and then both of them getting hurt. So there's so much going on that to get frustrated by it would just be silly and just lead to more stress. So I just relax and take the fights as they come, and just trying to fight the best and beat them.
All right, and Ben, would you say that this fight is the toughest fight so far in your career? And does it feel like fans and critics forget that you were the WC light champion, and maybe they think that you can't win against Jim?
I'm not really sure. For sure, this is the toughest fight. My career, thankfully, I've been pretty blessed. My career has gone the way, you want to script out a career as far as every fight being a bigger fight, more stuff on the line. I did have a setback, a couple fights ago, but since then, back on the winning track, back to where every fight is bigger than the last fight. The opponent is tougher than the last guy. So Jim's definitely the toughest guy. Him being a wrestler, I know he's to bring that wrestling mentality, just grind him out, do whatever it takes to get your hand raised. So I'm definitely expecting the toughest fight of my career. I'm expecting to go, 15 minutes hard, at a insane pace, yeah.
Okay. And my last question was for Dan. Dan, aside from your fights, fans love you for your mohawk and the way you hype up Bruce Buffer before your announcements inside the cage. Is there anything that we can expect from you, except aside from a great fight?
Well, I'm changing my colour slightly this time. Normally, I've got the red hair and the red shorts, but I'm going slightly different this time. Not a lot of different, but slightly different. Just to kind of give myself a fresh feel. It's more for me than anything else, but I will still be looking awesome.
Awesome. Good luck to everybody.
All right, thank you very much. Now, moving on, we'll go to Brendan Churchin with MMAnonstop.com.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. MMAnonstop.com wanted to ask Chris and Dan, how are you guys prepping for your opponent's punching power? You're both solid boxers with stand-up skills. Just curious how you guys are prepping for that. And were you guys approached about this being a 5-round fight when this was first announced? Because it was right around the time they announced the UFC 138 main event would be a 5-round fight. So we'd like to get your thoughts on that as well.
Go ahead, Dan. Okay.
Okay.
I'll go. We weren't approached about the 5 rounds. I don't mind either way. I mean, I think that I think that longer fights is always good fun. As long as the guys are coming to fight, and a fight between me and Chris would be fun regardless of how long the fight is.
Agreed.
What was the other part of the question you asked?
Just in prepping for Chris, Dan, Chris is a solid stand-up boxer with pro boxing experience. Just curious how you're preparing for his power, and Chris, the same question for you guys. How are you prepping for Dan's power and his big left hand?
Well, my preparation is all about hitting Chris more than anything. Obviously, I'm planning on him throwing punches at me, but my intention is for none of them to land. So, I'm not expecting to taste any of that punching power, to be honest.
Well, my game plan is a little different. I'm planning on really trying to hurt his hand against my thick skull, and I want to break both of his fists is my goal. So what I've been doing to train for this is I've been working with my buddy Matt Mitrino, and I'm just letting him punch me as hard as he can, right in the face, and I'm getting good at it. He knocked me out twice last week, not as many times a week. It's getting better. It's getting better. So that's my game plan. And no, honestly, Dan said it pretty perfect right there. In my mind, I'm real slick. I'm going to hit him, and he's not going to hit me. So you always plan for that. I get out there and that game plan usually lasts until he punches me once, and then I start going nuts just trying to hit him. So, I've seen Dan fight many times. I really love the idea of the fight because I like he comes to bring it. I know he's going to come out there in a very good left hook, so I've been working on keeping my right hand up a lot, just certain things like that. I'm just going to go out there and try and do what I do and be awkward and try to be a little harder to hit than people think and try and take glancing blows instead of clean shots. And when I do that, I feel like it gives me a good chance to hit the other guy back. As far as the 5-round fight thing, it was pretty funny because as soon as they made that announcement, I got a couple of phone calls, people saying, your fight's 5 rounds long, this is going to be great. And I was like, I don't know, great, that's 2 extra rounds. I better check my contract. And I looked at my contract, and I was like, no, it's only 3 rounds. I was like, thank God, I don't want to, two more rounds is a long time for me. I'll be 37 next month, so I don't want to. This month, actually, geez, it's getting late.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. And quickly over to Bendo. Just curious, where does a win put you in this mix with the title race and everything? And what do you see as the biggest difference between the WEC and the UFC? Is it the cage side, the fight prep, or even the caliber of fighters? What do you see as the biggest difference so far?
Pretty much the same. Everybody behind the scenes, they were always the same guys who did the WC, the same guys who did the UFC. All the promotionals, everything's the same. I would say probably just the fan recognition, because a lot of fans didn't really know about the WC. We tried our best to educate the fans and say, hey, WC, UFC, blah, blah, blah. But I'd say the fan recognition, not having to always sit there and explain, do a freaking 20-minute explanation as to what the WC is, how it's related to the UFC. I'm very happy I don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
But yeah, tougher fighters. Obviously, made no qualms about it. The UFC has the toughest 55-pounders in the world, and I'm just excited to be here and be able to showcase, some stuff that I do and bring to the table.
Definitely. And so with a win, do you see yourself up there at the top of the title mix, or do you think another fight maybe with Guido would be in line? I think that'd be a great fight personally.
Actually, to be honest, man, I have no idea. I don't really give it much thought. My coaches do more, and my manager, they do more, thinking about that and who it could be and who should we call out and should we do this, should we do that. I don't really care, to be honest, because like I said earlier, if you're on the right track, if you're getting your hand raised, that's the only thing that matters. Whether you're number 20 and you keep getting your hand raised, eventually you're gonna get to the title, or if you're number 2, whoever you call it next. It doesn't, it doesn't really matter at all. The biggest thing is getting your hand raised and keep on doing that, looking impressive.
Definitely. Well, thanks a bunch, guys. Best of luck to you guys next weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, that is *1 if you would like to queue up to ask a question. Again, that is *1. And we'll go to Brendan Conlon with Rebellion Media.
Yeah, hi. This question is for Ben. You've beaten a number of talented, grapplers, BJJ guys in the past. Recently, Mark Bocek, and I'm just curious, what about Miller's grappling do you see as being unique, or do you already feel you've kind of seen and survived anything he might throw at you?
No, I think Miller's definitely going to bring a unique style as far as grappling. If the fight does go to the ground, I'll be ready for it. I think, to be honest, I think our styles are pretty similar. We're both, former collegiate wrestlers, who got into MMA afterwards. So we're pretty wrestling-based, on the ground. He's transitioned to jiu-jitsu and mine or followed similar paths. I think that a lot of stuff from what I could find online and whatnot, the stuff that he does, whether in jiu-jitsu matches or in the MMA and in the cage, is a lot of the same stuff that I do. I do a lot of the same stuff that he does. So I know I have a lot of guys at my gym who will kind of do similar stuff that I do similar stuff that Jim does. So no, I think that it'll be something I am ready for.
Do you think that might kind of lead to a stalemate on the ground? Maybe end up with a little more striking in the fight than people might anticipate?
Maybe it could lead to more striking standing up. I think that while Jim and I follow similar paths on the ground, we're both, wrestlers, have a harder edge to our jiu-jitsu style and whatnot. I still, obviously every fighter thinks that he's better. Obviously, I think my ground game will come out on top.
Right.
But no, I think it could be a great, technical, hard-nosed grappling match for 15 minutes, or a stand-up war where we just stand there in the pocket and bang for 15 minutes.
All right, awesome. And then just one last question here for Dan Hardy. When during the lead-up to Anthony Johnson, Johnson pretty much made it sound like he was going to try to strike with you the whole time and then sort of change things up come showtime. Do you have any concerns that things with Lytle might unfold the same way? I mean, there's a lot of talk about stand-up, but he's also a really good grappler as well.
Well, I have come to realize that opponents can be quite unreliable, which is disappointing. But I don't think that Chris is that guy. But either way, I mean, as everyone on Twitter keeps telling me, it's mixed martial arts and I've got to learn some wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I think everyone just thinks I hit bags all day, but it's one of those things that I was annoyed in the fight. I was disappointed because I had a lot of people, especially over in the UK, waiting up till early hours of the morning to watch a good fight, and I ended up having a nap for 15 minutes. And I just don't want a boring fight, regardless of where the fight goes. I just don't want a boring fight, and there are a lot of wrestlers out there that they use their wrestling, really well in MMA. They use it aggressively. They win fights with it. I mean, Jim's a great example. You know what I mean? I just don't want a boring fight, and I don't think Chris has got that in him.
Well, let me just comment on that real quick. Hey, I'm very honored to be actually put in the. They picked Dan and I to be in the main event, and let me tell you something. They didn't pick me and Dan to be there to put on a boring fight. So you think I'm gonna try and sit there and get someone on the ground and hold them down for 15 minutes and then dry hump them? That ain't gonna happen. So you're gonna get what you pay. You're gonna get a good fight out of it. That's all I can guarantee. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to all y'all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Well, as a final reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that is star one if you'd like to queue up to ask a question. Again, that is star one. All right, great. Mr. Schaller, please, we have no further questions at this time.
All right, thanks, Abe. And I just want to thank all of the media for dialing in today. Just a reminder, UFC 133 will have our media open workouts tomorrow at the Johan Gym here in Philadelphia, and then we'll kick things off next week in Milwaukee for Dan Hardy versus Chris Lytle and Ben Henderson versus Jim Miller. At this time, we're going to let the guys go. Thanks, everybody, for joining in, and we will see you in Philadelphia and then Milwaukee.